All right, what's going on, guys? We're going to be doing a tier list ranking video today. Going to be ranking the Saudi Arabia fights that just happened this weekend. Not Saturday night. It was at like 6:30 in the morning they started because, if it's on in London, they have to fight at 4 in the morning. But if it's on in Saudi Arabia, they get privilege there. Anyways, on to the first fight here. We had Abdel Wahab versus Jamal Pogues. Just an absolute terrible fight. One of the worst decisions I've ever seen. Complete robbery. I'm putting this in D tier. It doesn't quite reach the stinker levels of Ngannou versus Lewis that I have listed here, but it's pretty damn close. Just terrible output from both guys and an even worse decision. You're rewarding a guy who had a 2-year suspension for PED use and gifting him a decision win in his first fight back. You love to see it. On to the next fight, we had Grad versus Alexander. I'm going to go this B tier with this one. It started picking up the prelims pretty quickly with this finish. It was a comeback win for Grad. It was pretty exciting. He was kind of getting beat down a bit. He ended up kind of reversing that and finishing Alexander. It was a pretty exciting fight. Had some good momentum in there, and it was an exciting win. I look forward to seeing Grad fight again. Next fight up here, we have Jasmine Jastovicius versus Maria Beno Silva. I'm going to go B tier as well for this one. I'm teetering between A and B, but that might just be a little bit of Canadian bias. Jastovicius looked great. I think she looked even better than Pennington did against Bueno Silva. Bueno Silva couldn't really get anything going for a little bit. I thought maybe her striking was going to outclass Jasmine, but it didn't. Jasmine looked clean. She looked dominant with the grappling and the ground and pound. And, GSP was in the audience there. Maybe that gave her some Canadian motivation. But this was an all-around great performance. It was dominant. It was the first women's fight in Saudi Arabia. They showed out. It was a great performance. And I can't wait to see Jasmine kind of climb the rankings a bit more and get into that title contention. That's exciting to have a good Canadian prospect for once. Next up on the prelims, we had Shamil the Blob here versus Peterson. I'm giving this one A tier. This is the first A tier of the night. Exactly what you want from a heavyweight fight. Big knockout power. Shamil one-punch walk-off KO'd Peterson. It was epic. He just stepped over him like Allen Iverson. I don't know. It was awesome to watch. It was exciting. This fight probably could have been on the main card. I wouldn't have complained. Kept the momentum rolling with dominant performances on the prelims. And yeah, it was an all-around pretty good fight. Next up, we had McKinney versus Tomato Can they found on a shelf at Walmart. I'm still going to give this one B tier, but I'd say it's lower end B tier. I really wasn't blown away by McKinney. It was still a very fast-paced fight. He still got the finish, but it was like a mercy TKO. The dude just ate a bunch of ground and pound, and it wasn't really as exciting as some of McKinney's other finishes. And let's be honest, that dude's a total trash can. They just found him walking around outside of PetSmart, and they said, "Hey man, do you want to fight this weekend?" And he said, "Sure, sign me up." And he got dusted by McKinney pretty quickly, but in a sloppy way. So that's why it's B tier, not A tier. Next up, we had Naimov versus Awfully. This fight was so unmemorable. It was better than the D tier fight though, so I'm gonna put it in C. But it really halted the momentum of the prelims. It was just boring. It's like I said, it's unmemorable. I don't really remember anything that happened in this fight besides that it was a decision, and it was pretty early. I was kind of more focused on eating my breakfast during this one. It felt like a filler fight to take us into the main card, which in the main card on the opening fight, we have ZM versus Davis. I'm going to go high A tier on this one. This is my runner-up for fight of the night for sure. Super technical grappling exchanges. That knee lock that Davis had ZM in was insane. I'm surprised that ZM can even walk after that. Most dudes' legs would have been snapped in half. ZM did some super good damage with his elbows and the ground and pound. He cut up Davis pretty badly. And then it was a bloodbath from there. The octagon was covered in blood. His shorts went from white to red, and he just edged out the domination a little bit in the second and third round. I was kind of disappointed in Davis, honestly. He takes these super long layoffs, and then this performance was just so lackluster. Maybe he just had some ring rust. Come on, dude, you need to get back in there more often. Show us why you deserve to be a hype prospect. And getting beat by a guy like ZM. ZM has momentum, but I thought that Davis was going to get it done beforehand, but ZM definitely looked way better in there tonight. or that night, I guess. Here, the Nurmagomedov versus Oliveira fight was up next. This is my fight of the night. This fight was awesome. A total war. It was a striking masterclass for the most part. I got to give props to Said Nurmagomedov. He's very exciting to watch. He throws a lot of crazy spinning shit. You know, Oliveira edged him out ultimately, and it was an awesome performance from him and both of them. But Oliveira looked great in there. This dude is... I rate this guy so highly as a prospect. He's so exciting to watch. And he did this all with a broken rib, which can't be understated. He beat Nurmagomedov at his own game while injured. Looked great doing it. UFC gave them the fight of the night. So do I. I thought that this was, if there's any fight that you missed, if you missed the card and there's any fight that you wanted to rewatch, or, you know, probably the most rewatchable or best fight on the card for sure is this Nurmagomedov-Oliveira fight. Next up, we had Pavlovich versus Rosenstruck. Number 4 versus, I believe, number 9 heavyweight in the world. And yeah, this gets a special place in hell down at the bottom here. Ngannou versus Lewis tier. If you're unaware what Ngannou versus Lewis is, I'll save you 15 minutes. It's 2 men staring at each other for 3 rounds, and somehow they gave it a winner. Probably the closest thing you could ever define as a draw in the sport. This was no different than that. I think that they did some sort of ritual pre-fight where they summoned the spirits of both Francis Ngannou and Derek Lewis and embodied them in the cage, because, man, this was a tap dance lesson for everyone in Saudi Arabia to watch for 15 minutes before the co-main and main event. Would be surprised if more than 3 strikes actually landed flush in this whole fight. I know the stats say that Pavlovich landed like 125 strikes or something, but unless I blinked and missed a 120 punch combo, I don't think that's the case. I think that they were scoring, flailing arms on the ground in top mount, which is what Pavlovich kept doing. Tom Aspinall stole this dude's soul with his knockout of him. He doesn't fight with any momentum and any ferocity. And yeah, all around stinker fight. Dana White's definitely happy with this one. Looking at John Jones' probable next opponents right here. On to the co-main event. Shara Magomedov versus Michael Venom Page. This one disappointed me. I'm not going to lie. I'm still going to give it B tier. Definitely better than these fights, 100%. But there was no finish, and it was just a case of similar styles creating kind of a boring fight. Neither guy wanted to engage. Neither guy wanted to throw the first punch. MVP kind of standing in karate stance on the back foot. You know, he'd feint, throw a jab, maybe engage in a quick clinch scenario, throw an elbow or something. Neither guy were really throwing what they were known for. None of the crazy, you know, spinning strikes. I know Shara attempted one, it missed. MVP attempted a flying knee, it missed. That was the tail of this fight. MVP got the edge. I don't think it was a fraud check like people are saying online. I think that it is a reality check. Shara's not a top 10 guy. He's not a top 5 guy. Neither is MVP. And this showed that. But it was still fun. Ultimately disappointing. But, you know, there were worse fights for sure. On to the main event. We have Izzy Adesanya versus Nasruddin Imavov. Yeah, I was really conflicted about this fight at first. But I think I'm going to give this one A tier. I'm going to be honest. Imavov surprised me 100%. He finished Izzy with a really clean knockout. It was a stoppage from the ref, but Izzy was down for the count. He wasn't about to fight back. And this fight really solidified that Izzy is completely washed. He is not the same Izzy that, you know, he's not the same Izzy that was champion. This dude doesn't have the dog in him anymore. He doesn't have that fight in him, and I don't think he will. This, on paper, should have been a winnable fight for Izzy. Imavov I've never rated him highly in the past. I think that he's okay. Imavov lost to Sean Strickland on 5 days notice or 6 days notice pretty clearly. And yeah, I don't know. Izzy just got dusted by him. I think that Imavov should definitely fight for the title soon. Maybe a #1 contenders fight with Khamzat. Maybe whoever's, you know, if he wants to take some time off, maybe Khamzat will fight for it, and then he can fight at the end of the year for it or something. But definitely was impressed with the finish. He went out there, he knocked out Izzy in a cleaner knockout than Pereira did as well, I might have mentioned. We saw Izzy go down. It looked similar to when Strickland knocked him down, but Imavov got it done, and I got to give him props. Put in A tier. I still think the Shamil one was a bit more exciting, because I was cheering for Shamil. I wasn't necessarily cheering for Izzy. I was just surprised. But it was a good performance from Imavov. I got to rate it highly. And yeah, I think this is a pretty solid ranking here personally. I think that if you disagree, you probably didn't watch the same fights I did. I'm just kidding. But let me know if I should do more of these tier lists in the future. I think it's pretty fun, unique way to kind of rate the fights and talk about them in a bit of a joking manner while still kind of showcasing how good the fights were. I'll probably do this for 312 next weekend. I know there will be the Super Bowl on Sunday, so it might be a Monday. Might try and squeeze it in Monday, but we'll see. But yeah, go check out my UFC 312 breakdown and rant. And yeah, subscribe if you guys want to see more content like this. See ya.